Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Corey, better known as the Seaman, and I want to welcome you to another edition of the Seaman's Cinema. Sit down. Allow me to start by apologizing, specifically to the Grishaverse fan base, and specifically the Grishaverse fan base that I've been interacting with over the last few weeks. You guys got me so hyped for this show that even despite it being a massive content Friday, I was like, I need to get into this show, and I need to at least get up like an initial review, like just my first thoughts of the show. And we woke up today, 3 o'clock in the morning, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, cranked on that, was doing pretty good. I felt like I was I had like a pace today to try to get everything in. And Mortal Kombat hit, and I got hit with a couple of work things that I had to address, so like, I threw my pacing off, but by the time I was done with all my Mortal Kombat coverage, more than enough time. It was like 6 o'clock. I was like, perfect. 3 hours will get me to 9, get those first 3 eps in, get my initial thoughts up, then keep watching until we pass out. And while I was watching the second episode, this has nothing to do with the show. The show is fantastic so far. I'm really, really hooked and really, really excited. But when you're up at 3 o'clock in the morning and you haven't napped at all and it is 7:30 at night, the minute you start to go this way, you end up horizontal, I promise you will fall asleep whether you want to or not. And that's what happened. I ended up with taking like a 4-hour nap and then woke up like, damn it, you screwed up, Corey. But I was a little bit re-energized. So I was like, let me finish that second episode, finish the third episode, sit down and talk to you guys, because you guys, the fans of this material, got me so excited and so invested. I wanted you to know what I initially thought, because a lot of you were very intrigued that someone who hasn't read the books was getting so pulled into this world, and trying to read all the comments and learn as much as I could about Shadow and Bone and its spin-off series, The Six Crows. And I am, man. Like, you guys made me invested before the show even showed up. And now that it's here, I am officially a full-blown fan. This thing is freaking awesome, dude. Like, this world is so cool. And I cannot wait to get through the last 5 episodes and get more inside this world and more inside this story. So let's try to keep it short and brief, but let's get some initial thoughts on this one. So why don't you pull up a chair, man, take a seat. We're getting ready to dive in spoiler-free into Shadow and Bone. Technically, episodes 1 through 3, those are the ones that I've watched, but this is a non-spoiler and more just kind of an initial thought than a full-on review. But I'll tell you, man, those first 3 episodes, they're really strong. And I think the thing that I'm most impressed about when it comes to those first 3 episodes is how efficiently they establish this really big universe, and a really big universe that's got a lot of intricacies and complicated elements to it, right? Like, you have this country, and it's been split in half by a magical person. These are the Grisha. They're the magical people in this world, and ages ago, one of these magical people created this giant black cloud fog terrifying thing called the Fold, which is filled with those creatures we saw in the trailers that freaked me out, the Volcra, and it makes it very difficult for anyone to go from one side to the other. And the show does a really good job of establishing that this country has been split in 2 by this, and traversing the Fold is super dangerous. And we get to see 2 attempts of folks going into the Fold and trying to get out of the Fold in these first 3 episodes. And in those 2 attempts, let me tell you, 1, Volcra are freaking just as terrifying as they were in the freaking trailer. I may not have been as jumpy as I was, but I am on edge every time we are in the Fold, man. Like, whether we're in a ship that's kind of open and these things are just picking people off, or we're in a far more contained vessel and these things can just shred metal apart, like, they are legit scary, and we haven't even gotten, like, we've gotten good looks. Like, I definitely can envision what the Volcra looks like in my head. But, like, I feel like they're only teasing them so far. Like, I'm interested to see what kind of Volcra action we get as we go forward. But this show is not about just the Volcra and the Fold. This show is about people that live in this world, shockingly enough, and people from each side of the Fold, both East Ravka and West Ravka. And as you guys have mentioned to me in the comments, the folks that we're following over in West Ravka, and Ketterdam to be specific, come from that spin-off of The Six of Crows, which a lot of you seem really excited about, and I get it, because that group is fantastic. You got Freddie Carter playing Kez Brecker, who's kind of the leader of this gang. He also owns the Crow Club, which appears to be kind of like a gambling club, and they're right next door, I think, to like what seems to be like a whorehouse. But nevertheless, I really dig Kaz. He's got this mystery to him, and he's always kind of down. Like he seems like he is never happy. And he's a guy that, has this gang and is just trying to make money any way you can. And the feeling I get at Ketterdam is just like kind of one of those places where like people are just surviving by any means necessary. And I like that you have like Kaz, and he's got a rival in this dude Pekka, and trying to see like how he outmaneuvers people or outthinks or plans things. Like I dig him. Plus visually, I just think he's a very striking individual on camera. And the whole cane bit with the limp, I'm interested. I don't know why he's got the limp. I don't know what the cane is about. But I'm intrigued. I want to know more. And that mystery to some of these characters, specifically early on, while I think the show does a great job of setting everything up, that mystery certainly does pull you in. I'm super intrigued by Kaz because he seems to have a lot of mystery behind him. Then you got Inej being played by Amita Suman. She's great. She's like a ninja, man. Like she Batman's maybe better than Batman almost, man. There's a moment where one of the other person in their group, Jesper, is talking to her, and like he literally just goes here and comes back. She's gone. Like completely vanished, gone, man. And she, kind of has this ninja style. Like if Kaz needs stuff, she can kind of get in and out without people seeing it. And she is badass, man. Like I want to see Inej throw down. Like I've seen her do her thing in these first couple episodes. I feel like she can throw down, and I would like to see that. If I'm wrong, please let me know so that I'm not disappointed when she doesn't get into a crazy fight. But she seems real badass. And then you got Jesper, who is just nothing but charisma and charm, dude. Kit Young, who's playing him, lights the screen up every time he's on, man. Like he is addicted to gambling, and that kind of plays into some of the storyline stuff in these first 3 episodes. But he is flash and showy, man. He's the guy that'll entertain you. I mean, we've seen it in the trailer where he flips that coin up and he puts a hole through it. One, I love the explanation as to why he does that. 2, like just the fact that he is a crazy good marksman is awesome, and the fact that he's flawed in the sense that he can't stay away from an opportunity to gamble. While it provides comedy, it also provides problems, and all of those things are good when you're doing storytelling. So I totally get why you guys dig the Six of Crows so much, because that group is fascinating, and I am really, really here for their whole story, man, because they seem, anytime we're with them, I'm having the most fun that I'm having in these first 3 episodes. But that does not take away from our leads. Jesse Miley and Archie Renau, who play Alina and Mal. These I'm assuming are probably the main characters in the Shadow and Bone book. But their relationship, right? They're these 2 kids who grew up in an orphanage together because, like when their parents tried to cross, their parents were killed and they end up here. Seems like something that's happened. People do get across the fold. It is just very, very difficult. But, they grow up in this orphanage together, and they have this, like, really, really tight-knit bond. And the show, specifically in the first episode, really does a good job of establishing that. And I like the fact that, like, at times, it's not even sexual. It feels more romantic. It feels like there is some romantic tension. And maybe some of that is coming a little bit more from Alina than Mal, but they're pretty even. And what I like about the show is that that's not the focus, right? Like, the fact that these best friends, they're cool when they're around each other, and then when they're separate, all of a sudden it's like you get all these feelings, and the show is like, oh, their love story is the focus. No, these are 2 people who have a love that's deeper than sexual or romantic, right? Like, they're family to a degree. But anytime you've had a best friend who's of the opposite sex, some kind of tension usually exists in there. And I think the show has put just the right amount in there where it's like I said, that love is deeper than that, but it should kind of exist just loosely. And I think they nail that stuff. And then, all of East Ravka is just interesting, right? Like West Ravka and Ketterdam is very kind of seedy. You get over to East Ravka, and it is, armies. You got like two military groups. You got the first army, which is all regular people. The second army, which are all these magical people, the Grisha. And regular people do not like the Grisha, because one Grisha was responsible for the fold. So I love that you have that tension there, even though these people technically work together, sort of. And how Alina specifically kind of plays really gives you a sense of some of the negatives to East Ravka. Like, she looks like someone who would have come from West Ravka. They refer to her as a shoe. So I'm interested to find out more about that. But, like, she faces a lot of struggles because of how she looks. And seemingly, it's like the only person where how you look as any kind of judgment. This is another one of those worlds that is... I love watching television and movies do this, where, like, you just flood your cast with just people who don't look the same, and it is very diverse in that sense. And for the most part, you don't see anyone kind of talk about, like, oh, you look like this, we don't like you. It's more that Grisha, like, we don't like you because, like, you guys look what you did. You know what I mean? But for Alina, she is kind of the one person who's getting hit from all sides of this, specifically when she learns that she is Grisha, and the Sun Summoner. And I'm fascinated what that means for her. I think that element and how that separated her and Mal in these first 3 episodes and it's kind of built into their stories, that stuff's super intriguing, and I'm really, really interested. Like, that, for me, I think has probably been the biggest hook. While I might have the most fun with the crows, Mal and Alina are the hook into the show. That's what pulls you in. And, I mean, like, to the point where, like, we were riding with Archie Renaud, who plays Mal, for only like a little bit. And the first time his life was in danger, I was like, don't you do anything to him, because he's really freaking good. Like, I need him for all the episodes. And I really just have enjoyed both of their performances. Like I said, those are the characters that really pulled me in. Now, when you talk about the Grisha and the rest of West Ravka, really fascinating stuff, right? Like, you've got a king and a queen and a big palace, and there's a smaller palace where the king kind of has all of the Grisha training and learning to fight. And you go there, and it's way more high society than, in the campgrounds of, the different battalions or whatever. But that whole world, it is fun to kind of traverse that with Alina, because she is... I guess they find Grisha when they're young. They do like a test, and her and Mal ran that day, so no one ever tested her. She didn't know she was a Grisha until this crazy thing happens in the first episode. And, like, I'm fascinated because Alina, being an outsider, being brought in, again, like I said, this show's done a really good job of establishing itself for people who don't know this material. Where, like, Alina now gets to be kind of our guide into learning about the Grisha and different things, and I'm really interested. We haven't had a ton of stuff with the Grisha these first 3 episodes, but the stuff that we have seen, like the magical abilities, you got people who, can create air, or move and manipulate air and wind, so, like, you can kind of blow these ships constantly, so, like, they don't get stuck when you're trying to get through the fold. You've got fire wielders, you've got... a heart. There's someone who can control hearts, both like slowing and speeding up. That looked like some interesting stuff in there, and I'm fascinated by all these different characters, and specifically Alina, and Ben Barnes. We haven't talked about Mr. Ben Barnes, who was my initial hook. When I saw Ben Barnes was in this show before I talked to any of you guys, I was like, all right, I'm gonna watch because Ben Barnes is in it, and he plays General Kerrigan. And he is a shadow summoner. He's kind of the opposite of what Alina is. And a shadow summoner, I believe, is the one that created the fold. And even Barnes' character mentions, like, he's tried, but he can't destroy the fold. Just because one of his kind made it doesn't mean he can. And he seems to be more of a beacon to the Volcra. Like, the Volcra, you can slip by them, sort of. But he, I guess, like, kind of made it sound like he attracts them by going in there. So you have this kind of interesting dichotomy between him and Alina and his fascination into Alina. I don't know if it's good or bad. Like, it certainly seems like he is trying to, take the thing, like, the Sun Summoner is like a fabled Grisha that could potentially destroy the fold. And that seems to be the goal. But I don't know, man, like... Shadow Summoner and Ben Barnes being in all black and seeing him play villains before, I don't know if I can trust Ben Barnes yet. I want to, but I don't know if I can. And I hope that's intentional for these first three episodes, because I love Ben Barnes. He's so good, and like him and Alina have like a little bit of a journey together, and then like they kind of talk, and you learn some stuff that way. But his delivery is just so good, and I love the fact that I don't know if he's good or if he's bad. And to be honest, I don't know who's good or bad in this show, right? Like outside of Pekka, who like definitely is someone we want to root against, and outside the Volcra inside the fold, definitely people we want to root against, or creatures we want to root against. Outside of that, I don't know where anybody's gonna break. Like I know Mal and Alina, I think are good people, but like I said, I don't know, man. That Kiergan, I don't know if I trust him, but. Overall, like I said, you've got a lot of characters, and the show is doing a good job in early, at least these first 3 episodes, in juggling all those characters, establishing those characters, and establishing storylines that are intriguing, that kind of pull you in. And that's exactly what's happened to me. I am in. I want to learn about the Grisha. I want to see more Volcra action. I want to see what happens to Alina and Mal. I am so here for the crows. Like, I'm all in on this show. And again, so much of that has to do because you guys talked it up, and to this point, 3 episodes in, it is achieving the goals that I hope that you guys wanted to achieve. Because as a non-book reader, I think this is a pretty dope world, and I'm really, really fascinated to learn more about it and get more about it. I can't wait to watch these last 8 episodes. But the question I have for you guys is, you book readers, how is this show playing for you? If you've watched more than the first 3, or even, well, no matter what you watch, don't spoil it. This is a non-spoiler, kind of discussion. But how is this working for you? Have you watched the whole show? Did you binge it all day today and just crush it because you loved it? Have you just started it a little bit? Specifically, those first early episodes. Is it hitting? Is it doing the things and accomplishing the goals that it's supposed to accomplish for the book fans? That's what I want to know, man. You guys are my beacon of light, right? Like, I know Marvel and DC and that stuff in and out, and I feel real comfortable in that zone. I love watching stuff like this, and I can enjoy it, but I don't come from that source material. And as a comic book fan, when you know the source material and when it's executed correctly, how much that enhances something, I'm interested to see if this is connecting the way the books have been built and the way this world has been built. I know that these characters haven't crossed, or these worlds haven't crossed between Shadow and Bone and the Six of Crows, and the show is juggling both. Is that working for you? Do you like it all being in one place? Do you hope we see these characters cross over? What are you digging? What are you not digging? What are you looking forward to? I just want to know your guys' thoughts. I know I've talked for a while, because I always talk for a while, but ultimately what I'm really, really interested in is what you guys are thinking about Shadow and Bone. So if you finished it, if you're just partially through it, whatever you've watched, don't spoil anything specifically for me, but for anybody else. Try to keep it spoiler free, but let me know what the show's doing for you, man. Is it hitting? Is it satisfying the book fan base? Because you guys are a rabid fan base, man. Like, the excitement leading into the show was big. So I hope that the show is hitting for you the way it's hit for me. But like I said, I want to know your guys' thoughts, so put those down below in the comment section. Look forward to talking to you down there. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you're new, you want to come be here as I finish Shadow and Bone, and you want to know all of my thoughts as we kind of tackle this full season, and you want to be here for that, you haven't yet, you just want to be here anytime we're talking TV, movies, trailers, you want to show a little love and support to the old C-Man, will come. Join C-Maniac Nation, baby, by jumping over there, hitting that subscribe button, hit that little bell if you want those alerts, and until next time, for the C-Man's Cinema Sit Down, I've been the C-Man, and I'm signing off. Peace. Oh, hey, what's going on? You must be sticking around because you're looking for more content featuring this guy. Well, guess what? You're in the right place. You can check out more videos right here and right here. And if you have and you want to come join that C-Maniac Nation, you can hit that subscribe right over there.